Thanks for joining us in the trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics, coming to you from the studio that they provide for us, which we are always fired up about it. And we're also fired up about the fact that reportedly Jamar Chase and T. Higgins have come to terms with the Cincinnati Bengals. Unbelievable. Both these guys still in their primes. 25, 26 years old. And the numbers they put up, incredible numbers. The best tandem of wide receivers in the National Football League, the dynamic duo as such. And the Cincinnati Bengals got them back, run it back with Joe Burrow, with Mike Gesicki, who's also back. You're talking about a potent offensive attack. And we talked to wide receiver coach Troy Walters about that very thing, this potent Cincinnati Bengal offensive football team. And we talk about not only those two, we talk about all of his wide receivers and what they contribute to the wide receiver core. I'm telling you what, the air is going to be filled with footballs, and it is going to be fun. We know there's a lot of things you're going to be doing with your time today, so we appreciate you carving a good chunk of it out to join us in the trenches with Dave Lapham. Brought to you by First Star Logistics. As always, come to the studio that they provide for us, which is one of one, as is our guest today, one of one, none other than Bengals wide receiver coach Troy Walters, who is, in my mind, fast-tracking to be a head coach in the National Football League. He's got everything you need be a successful head coach in the National Football League, including about the fact that back in the playing days, we're talking about a player. We're talking about a guy that was the Fred Biletnikoff winner in his collegiate days at Stanford, and he played 8 years in the National Football League. That's a long time to play in the National Football League at the wide receiver position, to play as effectively as he played. And credibility. That's a big thing for coaches to have with their players, and there's nobody that has more credibility than Coach Troy Walters with his players. Coach, appreciate you, and thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me.
So, Coach, like I said, I've said this many times to many different people. I envy the relationship that you have built with your wide receivers, with your players. It's as good as it gets. It's as good as it can be. They look at you not only as their football coach, they look at you as a not just a football mentor, a life mentor. You're a man of God. You live your life the right way. They know it. They know that they can talk to you about anything, and they'll get just tremendous feedback. You do have a special bond with your players, don't you?
I do. I think that's the most important part of being a coach and being a leader of men, is to connect with them off the field and in their personal life, and making sure that they know that you care about them as people, as young men. Understand that they do have issues. They do have trouble at times. They need wisdom. They need guidance. And so, to me, if you can take care of the off the field things, then when they get on the field, they'll be successful and they'll be able to maximize their talent. So that's one of the first things that I try to build once a young man comes into the Bengals organization, is to get to know him, allow him to get to know me, and just build that trust from a personal standpoint, and then let that carry over to the field and to the football aspect.
I know that for them to, and of course, T. Higgins and Jamar Chase reportedly have re-upped to remain as Cincinnati Bengal wide receivers. And what an unbelievable coup that is, to be able to retain two players of that caliber. And I think that there's a lot of reasons they want to, quote, run it back. Joe Burrow, each other, you're right up there, Coach. I think that they probably think to themselves, if I go to someplace else, how can I even hope to imagine to have as good a situation as I have here in Cincinnati with all the components that I just listed? It's a heck of a place to be for a wide receiver.
It's a great place, and we came in together. T and I came in 2020, and then Jamar in 2021, and so I'm just proud of them and to see them go from rookies and how they came in and kind of the struggles they had early on to where they are now and all the work that they've put in. It's just awesome. I'm very proud of them. Happy for them. They deserve everything they get, and and yeah, it's a special place. And then when you have Joe Burrow throwing you the football, the other group of guys that we have around him, the coaching staff, the culture. Cincinnati's a tough place to leave, and Zach's done a great job of really keeping the guys and the guys wanting to be a part of the Bengals organization. So happy that it got done now. Don't have to worry about all the drama and all that other things that come with contract negotiations closer to the season. And so we're just excited and can't wait to get back to work with those guys.
And when you say the word work, they work. I mean, your group works, man. I mean, they run games are almost holiday. I mean, games are like vacation time. It's time to go shine and put all that work out there on the football field. And you work. Watching you at a practice, my gosh, man, you you work harder than almost anybody. I mean, and I think your players really respect that. You get right in there with them, and you demonstrate techniques. You don't just talk about it. You demonstrate it, and you played at a high level, and they respect and understand that. And I think two things that coach player relationship has to have is respect and trust. And I think that goes both ways with you and your players in spades.
Yeah, it does. You talked about just work ethic, and to be great in this league, you gotta put the time, you gotta put the work in, and those guys understand that. There's going to be a time to relax, have fun, which we like to do, but then when we step on that football field, we understand it's a short amount of time on the field, and so we've got to get work done. There's other defenses, DBs that they target us when they play the Cincinnati Bengals. They understand the challenge with the receiver core, and that we're going to get everyone's best. And so we've got to make sure that we're getting better. We don't become complacent, and we're doing the necessary things, technique wise, fundamental wise, that will allow us to go out there Sundays and make plays and be successful. And uh, as you talked about trust and respect, and that does go both ways. I have the utmost respect for all the guys that we bring in, the work they put in, the obligation, the requirements. I respect the heck out of them, and trust. I think once you get to know each other and you build that, then you build that trust, and I think trust goes a long way, and they understand that I'm in it for them. That's the only reason why I'm coaching, not necessarily for myself, and I want to move up the ladder and all that. I want whoever I'm responsible for, who's ever in that room, whoever I'm coaching, I want them to reach their maximum potential and achieve all that they want to achieve. And so days like today, when you hear T and Jamar signing an extension and getting paid, I mean that's what I'm in it for, so that they can maximize their potential on the field, off the field, and that's my role, that's my job, that's my purpose.
I know you also work, some ball skills and drills with the tight ends, and I know you have a healthy dose of respect for Mike Gesicki's game. How big is it that he's back too? I mean, running it back with everybody, that's pretty dynamic.
It is. We're fortunate that we finished the season on a high note. We had one of the better offenses in the league, one of the better offenses in Cincinnati Bengals history. And
Yep.
so to get as many guys back from that team and that squad is important. But at the same time, we can't rest on what we did last year. When the guys get back, we got to put in the work. We got to put in the preparation and make sure that we start, where we left off. And we understand we've got to start fast this year, but it helps to have as many guys back from a dynamic offense that you can have.
You look at Jamar, over 120 catches, over 1,700 yards, 17 touchdowns. I mean, he won the Triple Crown, records across the board as a Bengal. The other thing, the fourth thing that he led the league in, 787 yards after catch, and in a lot of cases, yards after contact. I mean, this guy, the fun just starts when he catches the football. Is that one of his major attributes in your mind? I mean, the dude with the ball in his hands is like another running back.
It is. I think that's what separates him from a lot of the receivers in this league is that you can get him the ball close to the line of scrimmage, behind the line of scrimmage, and there's an opportunity for him to take it all the way to the house. And so, just that element, makes him just a different type of receiver in this league. And all the receiver coaches I talk to at the combine and at all these pro days tell me that he's a difference maker because of that aspect. He's a rare breed in terms of a guy that plays almost like a running back and has great balance, contact balance, is strong, can run through arm tackles, at the same time can make guys miss, and then has the speed to take it to the house. So uh, that's a tremendous weapon, and we just got to continue to find ways to get him the ball all over the field and let him go to work.
All over the field. That brings me to the fact that not only is he a physical marvel, he's a football savant, man. His football IQ is extremely high. You're a football genius. I mean, I'm sure respect a guy like Jamar Chase who can line up everywhere, any wide receiver position, running back. I mean, he can line up anywhere for you, and know what's going on, understand his assignment within the schematic, and man, he just gets it.
Yeah, that part of his game has really grown throughout the years. And when he first got here, I don't think we were able to move him around as much as we do now. And that's a testament to his just continual wanting to be better and understand the game and understand the offense, the ins and outs. Where now we can move him around, and he understands the importance of that, so that teams can't double him. They're not sure where he's going to be. It makes it tougher on the defense, and so we got to go back this off season and look at the ways that we incorporated him and find different ways and find more unique ways so that defenses can't hone in on where he's going to be. And he wants to challenge. He doesn't want to do the same things that we did last year. He wants to add to his repertoire. He wants to add to his game, and so we got to find different ways to move him around and create touches and keep him involved and challenge him. One of the things when you've been in offense 4 or 5 years and you've done the things that he and T have done, you've got to find different ways to challenge him. That may be learning another position. That may be um, having them learn defensive, sit with the DB coach maybe sometimes to learn defensive terminology so that when they're out there and the defense is talking, communicating, he understands at another level what the defense is trying to take away. So got to find ways to continue to motivate them, keep them keep them learning and growing as a receiver.
Coach, we've talked about this before. As a former lineman, I just really respect how your position group blocks, because that's the down and dirty part of the position. That's not, you're not going to get any huge plaudits unless you got somebody that really understands the game watching and saying, my God, look at these guys, look what they're doing, look at the sacrifice they're making out there, doing what they're doing. And T, I mean, he is physical, man. He'll dig out linebackers and defensive ends if called upon, and so will T. And so does everybody in your room. I mean, how does you guys obviously take tremendous pride in blocking? Where does that come from, Coach?
Yeah, we want to we take pride in being all around football players, and we want to be team players, and we want the team to be successful, the offense to be successful. In order for that to happen, we got to be able to run the football, and we got to create explosives. And we understand that if we're doing our job down the field in the second level, then those are the blocks that really create those explosive runs, those 20, 25, 30, 50-yard runs. And with Chase Brown back there, we know that every time he touches the ball, there's an opportunity for him to take it the distance. And so we don't want to just be one-dimensional. We want the team to be able to rely and depend on us in every aspect of the game. And so running the football. The run game is an important aspect, and so we want to be important parts of that part of the offense. And so the guys embrace the role, um, and they do a great job of when their number's called of having to maybe dig out a safety or crack a linebacker or crack a defensive end, and whatever's asked of us, we're willing to do.
T. Higgins, 73 catches, 911 yards, 10 touchdowns, and missed 5 games. I mean, he's 89 yards short of 1,000. And I mean, the catches, the yards. I mean, he would even had more touchdowns. He's a specimen. I mean, this guy is a genetic marvel. 6'4" plus, strong, broad shoulders, long arms. I mean, when I think about him, I guess a layman at the receiver position that I am would say, man, he is a contested catch son of a gun. I mean, he high points the football and his timing is impeccable. Is that one of his major traits?
Yeah, T has gotten better every year, and his biggest thing is just to stay healthy. And when he plays a 17-game season, which I'm believing for this year, then he's a top 5 receiver, and so he does so many things well. And to be 6'4" and weigh close to 220, and the way he moves, I mean, he has hips and feet like a 5'9", 5'8" receiver, where he can get it out of his brace, he can sink his hips.
Man.
When the ball's anywhere near him, he's got the length and the play strength to make contested catches. And so he and Joe, they came in together, and they have a great rapport, and Joe knows exactly where he's going to be, and he has trust that, hey, all I got to do is put it anywhere in the area, and T's going to make a play. And so we just got to keep building upon the success he's had. The challenge for he and Jamar, after you sign a big deal, is you look how many guys have signed a second major contract. A lot of times guys sign one, and then whatever the reason, complacency, their production falls off, whatever it may be, they never see the end of that contract, or they never see another big one. And so my challenge to them is, hey, let's make sure we see all of that contract. That means your production is where it needs to be, and then let's try to get another another big one. If we do that, then the reason why is because you've been performing well on the field. So glad to have both of them, and like I said, eager to get back to work and continue to improve and get better.
Yeah, here to that, Coach. I mean, that's the thing. They're both, like 25, 26 years old. I mean, it's like their second contract is definitely coming in their prime. I mean, they take care of themselves. They're just, incredible athletes. And as we know, in Cincinnati, contracts like this, people are like, oh, geez, will they play? Will they be part of the? Yeah, Cincinnati Bengals, when they put a contract out there, their anticipation is that they're going to fulfill it, their obligation, and their player is going to play at a very high level and fulfill their obligation. I mean, it's a two-way street, and a deal's a deal.
Yeah, it is. It is. And like I said, our goal is to make sure that you're getting paid the money that we're paying you to produce at that level. And so, Jamar is expected to produce at the number one receiver, number one non-quarterback in the NFL level, which is what he did this past year. And then T, he's expected. You're not giving him whatever he's going to make. You're not giving him that money to be, an average receiver. So the standards has gone up. Expect T to be, over 1,000 every year, 1,200. Stay healthy, and once we get that production year in and year out, then they'll see another contract and go from there.
You talk about the rapport between Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase goes all the way back to the LSU days, and with Joe and T, they came in together. It's just like when the initial play is taken away for whatever reason, the second play, the play that the created play, the extension, the creation of a play, they're always on the same page. I mean, you never see Joe like shaking his head and like, what the hell we think? I mean, you never, all you see is like, a nod or a pointed finger or something like, yeah, man, we saw that the same way. That's remarkable how those guys, really all your guys are on that kind of a page with your quarterback.
Yeah, and they have a sense of urgency, and they understand that Joe's athleticism, his pocket ability, we know he's able to extend plays, and so we see that as opportunities to create explosives. Obviously we want to get open on the first route, but things happen. We may be covered. The D line may present a pass rush that makes Joe scramble early, but we understand when he moves and gets out of the pocket, that's an opportunity for explosives to be made, and so you really stress with our guys the sense of urgency to get open, to understand where you are on the field. If you're deep, working back to the quarterback. Joe has the ability to throw across his body, but we really don't encourage that. And so just understanding where we need to get to in order to be a viable option. And those guys have bought in, and Joe does a great job, like I said, using his legs to extend plays.
Let's talk about other receivers in your receiver room. I mean, there's always great receivers at the combine, and I know you go do your due diligence because you have to have a book on everybody because you never know, what might happen. You never know who may become available for whatever reason, or God forbid, there's some sort of an injury or whatever the case may. You can never be overly prepared. So I know you've done all your due diligence on these college wide receivers, but let's talk about other guys on your roster. Andre Yosivas, his development, draft and develop your own guys, and the Bengals like to re-sign their own guys, just like they did with these two superstars. Talk about Yossi a little bit.
Yeah, Andre's his he's trending upwards. Every year he comes back in shape. He comes back better than he was before, and so I thought he had a great second season. First season really as a full-time starter, not the primary guy in most cases, but to me, when his number was called, he stepped up and made big catches. I think he had 7 touchdowns or so, which is for the amount of catches he had. I think 34 or 36 or something is pretty amazing.
Right.
But he's a guy that what goes unseen is he's a guy that understands all 3 positions, can move around. If we want to move Jamar inside, we can move him outside the Jamar spot. When T went down, Andre was able to step in. He takes care of his body, so he's not going to miss any time. Practices hard, so he just does it all. I mean, he's an awesome, a good number 3 receiver with room to grow and continue to develop, and which I'm confident that he will. And he's a guy that I think Joe has the utmost trust with, and that if he throws him the ball, that he'll make a play.
Coach, give us a little thumbnail sketch of the other guys in your wide receiver room. I mean, you've got a lot of guys back. That's not obviously one of the big needs for the Cincinnati Bengals in free agency or the draft necessarily, but give us a little thumbnail sketch on other guys that you got in your room that'll be playing in 2025 for you.
Yeah, with the Charlie Jones, he's a guy that has had great success in the return game. Rookie year, he took a punt back against Baltimore last year, kickoff return against Cleveland. And so coming out of college, he was, I think, the number 1 receiver in terms of yards in college football. And so we're just waiting for him to put it all together, which I think injuries really has kind of derailed his seasons. So we're looking for an injury-free season. I think he's going to go down and work with Andre and Chase Brown in Atlanta. So I imagine he's going to come back, in the best shape and ready to go. And he's hungry. He understands his first 2 years is not what he expected, not what we expected. And so he understands the sense of urgency that he needs, that we have in him. And I think we're going to see the best of Charlie. Jermaine Burton, talented, super talented, showed flashes last year. Just needs to be more consistent on and off the field, which we've talked about. I talked to him today, as a matter of fact, and he's out in LA training, sounded good. So I'm excited to get him back here to Cincinnati and just continue to pour into his life and continue to build him up. And I think this past season was a challenging season for him, and hopefully he's learned a lot from it, and he'll be a better man and a better football player this next year because of it. So we're excited. Isaiah Williams, we had brought in from Detroit. He did a good job in the return game. He'll challenge Charlie. as a primary returner. So I like his work ethic and what he can bring, and just excited. Kendrick Pryor is a guy. So just excited about all the guys that we have, the competition. Can't wait to get back to work with all those guys and get on the field and work with them and help them to get better. And then when fall camp comes, the guys are going to compete for roster spots and go from there.
Coach, I can't thank you enough for your time. I know your players really consider themselves fortunate to have a guy like you as their coach, and I know the organization feels fortunate to have a guy like you on their staff as a coach. And you're not only were you a great player, phenomenal coach, but you're just an incredible human being and a great leader of men. And certainly do appreciate you giving us time today, sir.
Yeah, I appreciate it, and I feel like I'm the fortunate one to be around such a great group of guys, and especially the receiver room, and they make my life easy because they're coachable and do everything you ask, and we have a good time. So every day I go to work, man, it's a blast, it's fun, and I look forward to the 2025 season and getting these guys ready to go.
Man, you and that group of guys, 1+1 doesn't equal 2; it equals 3. Man, there's some synergy going there, and I love it. It's good stuff, Coach.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you.
All right.
Hey, Dave Lapham here. While games are over for the season, there's no off-season for the First Star Media Group or First Star Logistics. Join me in the trenches and Joe Goodberry of Bengals on the Brain here on the First Star Media Group YouTube channel. First Star Logistics gave away great prizes during the season, which will continue with exclusive content and special giveaways during the off-season. So please subscribe to the channel and hit the like button to help us continue to grow the channel.